As a security leader, you can't secure applications if you don't understand where they're vulnerable. The OWASP Top 10 isn't just a technical list. It's a leadership tool that helps you focus your teams on the real-world threats that matter most. When you know what's at stake, you can prioritize defenses, build stronger applications, and hold vendors, developers, and contractors accountable for the security outcomes you expect. When you're guiding your organization's application security strategy, the OWASP Top 10 is one of the most important tools you can rely on. It's not just a technical checklist, it's a leadership roadmap for what to prioritize in design reviews, threat modeling, developer training, and security testing. You need to embed these 10 categories into how your teams build, test, and release software, because this is where attackers are most likely to strike. You start with broken access control, which happens when users can access functions or data they shouldn't. Your job is to ensure role-based access controls are properly defined, implemented, and tested, and that you routinely review who has access to what. Then there's cryptographic failures. This isn't just missing encryption, but also using outdated algorithms, exposing secrets, or failing to protect data in transit or at rest. You need to lead your teams to adopt strong cryptographic practices across every system. Injection attacks remain a top threat. These occur when attackers manipulate inputs to execute malicious commands on your backend. You need to enforce rigorous input validation and make sure your developers are using parameterized queries, especially when working with databases or command interfaces. Next is insecure design, which reminds you to think upstream. If you're not including threat modeling, secure defaults, or resilient architecture early on, your systems will carry vulnerabilities that no amount of patching can fully fix. Security misconfiguration is often the result of exposed admin panels, default settings, or unpatched systems. You need to implement secure configuration baselines, automate checks, and continuously harden environments. Vulnerable and outdated components are just as dangerous. Every outdated library or plugin introduces risk. That's why you should promote regular dependency scanning, maintain a software bill of materials, SBOM, and ensure timely patching. Identification and authentication failures are another major concern. If you're missing MFA, using weak credentials, or mishandling sessions, you're leaving doors wide open. You need to lead with a strong authentication strategy that includes step-up authentication, secure token handling, and proper session expiration. With software and data integrity failures, you face risks from supply chain attacks and unverified components. Here, your responsibility is to ensure all code is signed, CI/CD pipelines are secure, and third-party tools are validated before integration. You can't ignore security logging and monitoring failures either. Without visibility, you're blind to attacks. You need to make sure your apps are logging the right events, feeding them into your CM, and generating alerts when something suspicious occurs. And finally, server-side request forgery allows attackers to trick your server into making unauthorized requests. You need to enforce strict input validation, apply allow lists, and use cloud-native protections to stop this from happening. By owning these risks and driving action across each one, you're not just preventing vulnerabilities, you're building applications that are secure by design. This is what it means to lead with intention in application security. You're not expected to be a penetration tester, but as a security leader, you are absolutely expected to make sure the OWASP Top 10 is embedded into how your organization builds and secures software. That means you take ownership of turning this list from a concept into a consistent operational practice across development, testing, procurement, and delivery. It starts with your people. You need to make sure your developers are trained to recognize these threats and know how to write code that defends against them. You also need to work with engineering and DevOps teams to integrate OWASP checks into your CI/CD pipelines so issues are caught and fixed early, automatically, and consistently. From there, your leadership needs to shape the way risk is discussed and evaluated. That means prioritizing OWASP top 10 categories in your threat models, security design reviews, and project risk assessments. Whether you're reviewing a new architecture or deciding where to focus penetration testing, these risks should be your compass. You also have to look outward. When you work with vendors, SaaS providers, or outsourced development teams, you should expect the same level of awareness and protection. Ask them directly, how do you defend against OWASP top 10 threats? What evidence can you show? And when vulnerabilities surface, you should be reviewing findings through the OWASP lens to understand the real-world impact and drive remediation decisions that reduce long-term risk. When you lead with OWASP as part of your organization's development DNA, you're not just catching bugs, you're building a security culture. You're enabling teams to move faster with confidence, and you're earning the trust of users, partners, and stakeholders by delivering applications that are resilient, responsible, and secure by design. So, what's your leadership takeaway? The OWASP Top 10 gives you a map of where attackers are most likely to strike. Your job is to make sure your organization doesn't leave those doors wide open. By embedding these risks into your security practices, educating your teams, and holding your partners accountable, you ensure that security is a shared responsibility and a non-negotiable part of delivering technology safely